no silver screen can tell them apart at all.
Ryan, it's good to see you again. I wasn't quite sure I recognized you, but the last time I saw you, you looked very much like Martha Stewart.
That's true.
Hanging outside the Crown and Anchor in Provincetown. Martha's just one of the 6 celebrities that you have profiled. And the latest one is Andy Warhol, and you're about to premiere The Trials of Andy Warhol at Joe's Pub. Tomorrow, the next day?
Sunday night.
Sunday. So exciting. Well, thank you for watching me for this. So without giving it all away, can you tell us what we can expect to see and hear?
Yeah, well, it's a musical, and it's based on an idea that I had because Andy Warhol is really the world's first influencer. And like when you think about how our entire society right now is all fame obsessed, and there are so many people in our society who are famous for being famous. Like they don't have a trade. They're not actors. They're not dancers. They're not mechanics. They're not hairdressers. They just exist, and for that reason alone, they are famous. And that is a very Warholian trait. That's something that Andy, in the '60s, especially, like he had all these like really fantastic, fabulous, interesting people hanging around him. And he just turned the camera on and he just let them be. And he made stars out of it, or superstars is the term that he coined. Andy Warhol came up with the term superstar. I think everybody wants to be famous because people treat you differently when you are famous.
You're too young to remember him personally. What sort of generated your interest in him then?
That's a great question. Well, to your point, we all grew up in the world that Andy helped create. Mm-hmm. Everything about the way that the world is right now, and it goes beyond celebrity culture, but the fact that we even revere celebrities in the way that we do. Yes, there have always been famous people, especially, especially ever since like movies and television have been around, but history has always been told through the exploits of the famous. Whether you're talking about Nefertiti or Caesar or Alexander the Great, the history is demarcated by the exploits of famous people, because Andy Warhol tried very, very hard to create an image of a ditzy kind of guy who was, he was shy, but he was not ditzy. Like all the footage that you find of him giving one-word answers to reporters, it was a total act. Andy was one of the smartest guys in the room, and always he did like to manipulate people. And with the people that I interviewed who knew him personally, the one word that comes up over and over is evil. I think that Andy Warhol was a very shrewd business person, but more than that, he got what he wanted out of people. He was famous for walking up to people and saying, "Do you have any ideas? I can't think of anything today. Tell me what to paint." And and if the legend is true, that's where he got the idea to paint the Campbell soup cans. He was talking to a friend of his. Her name was Muriel Latow. And he said, "Muriel, I can't think of anything to paint. I don't know what to do." And she said, "Why don't you paint something that people see every day? Paint something that you love." And then he was still standing there going, and she said, "What did you have for lunch today?" He said, "I had what I had for lunch for the last 20 years. I had a bowl of Campbell soup." And that's where he painted that, and it changed the art world forever. 3 of them were sold. Of the 32 Andy painted, 3 were sold, one of whom the buyers was Dennis Hopper. And the gallerist said to Andy Warhol, he's like, "You know what? I have to be honest, I bought them back from the people who bought them for more money because I think that they should be a set. And I think that this is a very important work of art that you've created. And I think it's going to end up in a major museum someday." He's like, "Will you sell the rest of them to me?" And then Andy said, "I'll sell them to you for $1,000 on the proviso that you never break them up." And he never did. And in 1997, Irving Blum sold them to the Museum of Modern Art for $15 million, which was a steal. That was a major bargain for the MoMA to get them for that little money.
You've got a wide selection of doing your 6 people. And sometimes they're dead, like Mr. Warhol, but Martha Stewart and Anna Wintour weren't dead, and Ivanka, unfortunately, is still alive. How do you go about selecting who is your next, I don't want to say victim, but who's your next subject?
Well, it has to be someone who fascinates me because I have to spend a lot of time researching them. So it has to be somebody who fascinates me. I do tend to gravitate towards New Yorkers because I'm fascinated with people who come here to be the best at what they do. But I had always been fascinated by Andy Warhol, but I was never really able to come up with a way to make him a musical theater antagonist. If you ever see Andy Warhol in popular culture, especially on film, he's always the bad guy. He's always the antagonist and always a supporting character because of how well Andy Warhol sold us on this whole like the way of talking, like with all the speech disfluencies and the shyness. But if you do your research, there is plenty of YouTubes and interviews you can hear with Andy speaking as normally as you and I are speaking right now.
Yeah. But do we know what Anna Wintour thought of you and Martha Stewart? What did they think of you? Do we know?
Yes, I know that Anna was entertained by the idea. You know, her daughter came to see the show, and I'm certain that Anna sent her to make sure that it wasn't something super cruel or, you know, because where I do my shows is it's a pretty prominent place in New York. Everybody knows about it. So her daughter came to see the show. That show is very obviously through the prism of a fan, but it was a comedy as well. And then I did a fundraiser for the Trevor Project, and Anna Wintour donated her sunglasses. And then two of my friends were kind enough to bid on them and give them to me. So every time I've performed that musical subsequently, I've worn Anna Wintour's very own sunglasses. So that was very cool. And she and I have met, and she was nice to me.
Gracious.
Martha Stewart and I have met, and Martha was also very flattered that I did a show about her. And I've met Andy Cohen, I've met Calvin Klein. I've never met Ivanka though.
Well, we know those two men would love the publicity, especially Andy Cohen. We know they would love the publicity. But Ivanka, why, Ryan, why?
Well, I have a good reason. When the Ivanka Trump show opened in February of 2020, and obviously that was an election year, and we were leading up to an election. I had a huge tour planned that was going to end in Provincetown in August, but I was going to be touring all summer with that show. And it was a zeitgeisty kind of moment. And the thing about Ivanka, when Donald Trump was elected, there was this glimmer of hope amongst not just gay people, but like there was a glimmer of hope amongst liberals that were like, you know what? Ivanka seems like she's okay. Maybe she'll be the voice of reason in the room. And then we found out very quickly that that was not the case. So my show was about the hero that Ivanka could have been. But my show was also a comedy, and my show is like the Manchurian Candidate, because in the plot that I came up with, Ivanka was having her brain controlled a la the Manchurian Candidate by KGB spies back in Moscow, and they were planning to install her as the president in 2024.
There's so much stuff, now there's a name. Casinos, TV shows, and even a plane. Once I thought being a Trump was pseudo respectable. Have you seen our tower? It's a symbol of power. Dad likes things golden, hey, even his showers.
You're at Joe's Pub for how long?
I open on Sunday night, and we are very sold out, which I am very excited to say.
Well,
but then we have 7 subsequent shows on February 22nd, 28th, March 2nd, then March 7th, 8th, 9th, and 12th.
And then do we hope to tour possibly to Provincetown this year?
I would love to, but this show is too big. I mean, if we were like, for instance, the Martha Stewart show that came to Provincetown was scaled down from the New York production, because obviously you just can't tour a big show. It's not financially feasible.
And you got smaller hair.
Possible.
You had smaller hair as well.
I did have smaller hair. Andy's.
I'm going to let you go, but I want to ask one very last question. Who's number 7?
Oh, I think it's going to be Kris Jenner.
It is?
I think so. That's who I think it's going to be. I have never seen a single episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I would have to watch all of them.
We're in the same club. We're in the same club.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll have the strength for it, but she does fascinate me. So that's the place where it needs to start.
Okay. Well, that's good. It's good to talk to you. Have a great success on your opening, and thank you for staying up late. And
thank you so much, Roger. It's great to see you, and I hope I'll see you in Provincetown this summer.
I hope so too. Take care.
Take care.
Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all. Andy walking, Andy tired, Andy take a little snooze. Tie him up when he fast asleep, send him on a pleasant cruise. When you wake up on the sea, be sure to think of me and you. To think about paint and to think about glue, what a jolly boring thing to do. Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart.